This place, where there was once only silence, perhaps because it was only you and I here, it has gotten a bit livelier thanks to the Sephiroth. Unlike me, they were weak and lacked rationality. They made so many mistakes that greatly annoyed me. I did not approve of you placing the Sephiroth here. However, you told me that your atonement and the awakening of the Sephiroth were key to the untying of this knot I lie in. I didn't know what you were talking about. You also told me I wouldn't understand. You even blocked me from interfering with that relationship, saying that it must be left as solely your role. You were right as always. Even if I stay here repeating this endlessly, I suppose I still won't be worthy of understanding it till the end. To quote one of your favorite lines, a machine must behave as a machine. So I had to play the role of the observer, the only role you bothered to give me, enduring all the pain the others forgot. I don't think I'll have to point that out again. So basically we're just going to leaving Angela to watch over the loops and not letting her do anything for however long they've been going on, which has been implied to be a very long time. She's probably fine. Erstwhile, the world you stayed in was once luminous. There was the sun and the moon, and also the clouds and winds that floated around them. It was a world of light, so to speak. But you couldn't stay there. You were robbed of innumerable things. You lived with a broken heart, clinging to the void where pieces of your heart used to be. No one could understand your pain, nor embrace you. Eternal loss dominated you. I was one of the thieves who robbed you of countless things. While I was at the top of the world, I watched you and looked down on your struggle. Not just you. I have seen many others that struggled. Those attempts were no less futile than an insect writhing. All I had to do was simply stomp on them a couple times. But, among them, there were some who would grit their teeth and climb up, dragging their broken bodies. It seemed that this was going to be another fun little trip, so I wouldn't drink a cup of tea before leaving with light steps. But as you can see, an unexpected encounter with the red mist got the best of me. And then you inflicted as much suffering upon me as I to you, did you not? You are familiar with how to break the mind without utilizing torture or violence. After everything was done, you gathered up every little bit of what was left of my humanity, and you threw them into this pit until even my spirit soured and rotted. Maybe you told yourself that I deserved worse than that. Therefore, you're an upholder of justice who has defeated the evil, no? Then I must ask, why is that grand and righteous upholder standing here making himself out as a prisoner like I? And what happened with that coward, the one who with fear averted his gaze from my dying one? Why is he down here, suffering the same punishment as I? See, there cannot be a sight more satisfying than this for me. Is this all that the idealism of hers came to be? You've dragged down your heroine with your own hands. Do you truly believe that your duty completes itself just for shedding tears at the funeral of the innocent? Why, you never even let their bodies rest in peace. Ironically, you found a hope in all this misery. The raw material of the bucket, and the path to the river of it all. Out of her you made the bucket, and you started to send it down into the wells of the people. The bucket rises from the well of a person, filled with the water that can only be drawn by that person. An ancient fount that has been flowing at the bottom, even before the birth of the world. Now it simply is drawn, regardless of the consent of the person. When the bucket that holds the faded ideal of hers comes into contact with the ego of another person, a certain change occurs. I'll ask about the change. Maybe it's difficult to understand only by listening. How about this? I could show you one of her miracles. It's taxing, but for you, I'll gladly do it. The people selected long ago are awaiting their turns. I bring them here according to the register. Let me introduce one to you. This one is nameless. He has nothing left, for he has abandoned all that he is a long time ago. For him, things like the remnants of the past or the pain of the present don't matter. He only stares into the future. Did you dream well? Yes, you'll finally dream for as long as you want. One that you'll never wake up from. The employees will inject him with cookie dough soon. What river flows in you? What world lies in you? There are as many worlds as there are people. Discovering them is rather fun. No one must see this. That is why they adjust the level of cogito according to my orders, keeping their eyes and ears covered. Nobody should make direct eye contact with the drawn, but I can never dare to look away from him or to close my eyes, no matter how unbearable it may be. In the eyes of the drawn, there are the abysses that only I can endure, and there are the things that shouldn't exist in this world. This is the punishment that you've obligated me to endure. A normal person would have gone mad thousands of times over if they had to put up with this. Thanks to you, I cannot even be graced with insanity or lose my mind. All I can do is capture all of it in my eyes. Now, we wait. Will it rise anew, or is it destined to be stuck in this pillar and spend eternity with me down in this place? We just need a little more time to find out. Now, do you finally realize what all these pillars contain? Well, consider yourself lucky today. At times, when the level of cogito is adjusted inadequately, some things that shouldn't exist come up as fragments. How funny that I say this, but they're like an adverse reaction that has its price for doing something unspeakable to a human being. The bucket can rise with some impurities mixed in with what we usually draw, such as the abyss within humanity, the subconscious, and all kinds of possibilities. From the past, from the present, even from the future, all kinds of beings that have existed and will exist in this world. Given that they're outside our dominion, there's nothing we could do to govern them. They float around aimlessly, resonating with the abnormalities and manifesting themselves in front of us when the moment comes. They're what we call the ordeals. Thankfully, they react to the Kolthoth deterrence, so we can put them to sleep like the abnormalities, but that's all we were able to do. Yes, as you have learned, extracting abnormalities is my job. But creating them is Carmen's, whom you buried a long time ago. She is the mother of all abnormalities that have existed in this facility and of all that will emerge in the future. Tell me, how do you feel now that you know that those abnormalities that you faced above were part of these pillars? It's an agonizing sight to confront, but it doesn't matter to you, not at all. Or am I wrong? After all, erasing your memories and running away from them as if nothing had happened is your age-old specialty. This mission text is a bit cut off. What it means is that we have to have every abnormality in the facility at 100% data retrieved from, which is currently true. Let's finish off Binah. Binah's last upgrade is just a 25% chance of keeping the ego after an agent dies. It's not really worth talking about after saying what it does. It's pretty bad. Hello and welcome back to Lobotomy Corporation. Last time we got 2 new LF gears and that allowed us to have no more HE tier weapons. Everything is either wall or left in the facility. We still have HE tier suits, but we're doing pretty good on the weapon front. Other than that, just another day preparing for the last 2 suppressions. That's pretty much what it is right now. Let's get into the day. So there's not really that much to say about the actual day here, just because, again, we're at the end game here. We're really just preparing for the last couple of suppressions. We're not even keeping those stats or training, so it's really just working with all the walls and the lefts we have to end it as quickly as possible. This is where you actually want to accomplish the ordeals. They've gone from an annoyance to something I want to happen early into the day because they make getting energy way faster. Because finishing an ordeal gives you a certain amount of energy to your total. Dawn is 10%, noon is 15%, dusk is 20%, and midnight is 25%, but we can normally end the day after the noon. I'm wiping out clerks and departments just because they're going into noon, and last time that broke out Mountain, I just want to avoid having him break out again, even though he's pretty easy to suppress. I mean, what else will I use the bullets on, honestly? Mountain's about to leave the facility though, because this is the second to last day before we're gonna have to rewind so we can finish Hawkma's suppression. You can't do Binah's and Hawkma's together in one cycle, as that's the entire reason why the training on this is not gonna be kept or anything. If you could, it would wind up on day 46, but you can't do a suppression on day 46. And you need to do all the suppressions to get the actual ending of the game, so that is why we are rewinding, our one and only rewind. We're going to go back to day 41 after tomorrow's day, day 44. So we'll see day 45's cutscenes eventually, just not right now. I'm going to skip replaying all the days that you've seen before, so the stats might look a bit different. Maybe I'll probably record like the level ups from those days, nothing else. Maybe hire a few more people, but I was considering rendering it all in one part, but I really don't think it would make a very compelling one, considering we've seen the gameplay of these days already. And that's why I'm pretty much skipping over it. Anyway, Green Union's about to spawn in. We've seen Green Union like a million times in this Let's Play. But by this point, each department can just fight their own Noons. They're no longer a facility gathering threat. We don't no longer have anyone equipped with like HE tier Red Week armor, so we don't have to worry about that either. The only people who might have issues with it are the people wearing Burrowing Heavens armor, but should be fine because it's wall level, so they're not taking too much damage from Green Noon. In the end, it's just no longer that much of an issue. The most dangerous thing you can do is kill enough clerks to release something like Mountain, which it did yesterday, but Mountain's not really that big of a threat as long as you are careful. And neither are the Noons anymore. There are 10 separate fights or so occurring across the entire facility, but none of them are losing fights. This is the one in information is the one that's the closest, just because the information you just have a super high amount of DPS. It's just 2 people with wall weapons, but I mean they're at like 0% chance of dying, so I mean why even bother calling in reinforcements? Clerks decide to run in to help and just immediately die, but in the end the Green Union is felled. And we've reached the max energy for the day, but I just wanted to watch Mountain do his little dance for a cute little bit. Look at him go. What a pro gamer he is. So admirable. Truly the best LF. And that's that. The days are a lot simpler, you're not really worrying about the training. I mean, sure, we had stats go up, but who cares? It's all gonna be reset anyway. And now it is time for Snow Queen lore. A queen lives alone in the frosty winter forest. Like how every story starts, Kai was a child with a kind heart. When the shards of a mirror made by an evil fairy were scattered in everyone's heart, Kai began to see things he didn't want to see or need to see. He left the small village he grew up in. In an unforgiving village, Kai met the Snow Queen. He became curious at the world beyond his knowledge. He felt as though everything he knew amounted to so little. The snow palace he reached was so cold, but the Snow Queen's kiss froze his heart, and he couldn't feel the cold anymore. There was no joy in the palace, only the long winter night. Gerda was strong enough to remain unpierced by the mirror, and brave enough to go on a journey to rescue Kai, so she set off towards the snow palace. The journey was agonizing. Gerda was hurt and pained. Sometimes she cried. However, eventually Gerda met Kai. Spring arrived with blossoming roses. Its warmth melted the Snow Queen's palace, and the piece of mirror in Kai's heart evaporated without a trace. Then, left all alone, the Snow Queen omitted. I remember the day we put her in the Cairo coffin with our own hands. At some point, her joyous laughter was gone. She just cycled through laughing and crying, and eventually she was found in a bathtub soaked in red with her wrists cut. We did not believe in death. I will have her reconstructed from the machines I've detested for my entire life, but I've become the only answer. She would have been disgusted by me for this. Dying in that bathtub, however, we were too far down the road filled with remorse and regret to feel any sort of guilt. One day, it spoke to me. I remember you. You were a kind-hearted person. The moment I heard it, I was seized by the urge to destroy what I had created by my own hands.